Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. I got something big to show you guys. The freaking sun is out. Yeah, that's bright and it may not seem like a big deal, but over the last month in Oregon we've had some crazy weather. We've had everything from wildfires to flash floods, so it's a welcome sight to see the sun. The sun feels good, but it also means we can go back to events because as you can imagine things were canceled. So yeah, I'm pretty excited. In terms of getting the cars ready, it's actually just packing stuff up and checking fluids one last time. I got them ready like last week or 2 weeks ago because there was supposed to be an event, but because of the fires it got canceled. Anyways guys, let's get to the main point of this video, and that's driving tips. So I thought I'd just share some of the things that I've learned over the last years of doing autocrossing and track days. Well, the first thing that comes to mind when it comes to autocrossing is just make sure you get a lot of sleep. I know that's not something people necessarily think about all the time, but if you're well rested, you'll be nice and sharp. And ooh, I got oil on myself. But anyways, you'll be nice and sharp when it comes time to drive. Now, I will admit that one's easier said than done because I can't speak for everyone, but the night before an event, I'm always super excited, which makes it hard to fall asleep. And this thing's on there really tight. Some of the things that I've personally done to make sure I can sleep well the night before an event is I'll make sure I exercise that day, typically in the morning, just to kind of alleviate some of that stress. I also try to do my best, this doesn't always happen, but just to make sure that the car is good to go so I don't have to worry about that and stay up late wrenching trying to get it to the event. On top of exercising, one of the things I'll do at bedtime is I'll make sure to put my phone in another room, because if I'm laying there awake and I'm excited, you know, it's easy enough for me just to go grab my phone and start scrolling through stuff, which just keeps me up later than I have to be. Anyways, now we're on to this car real quick to check the fluids as well. It should be good, but just in the off chance that it does rain tomorrow, I want this car ready just in case. The next thing I'll hit on is actually really simple. Focus on seat time. This is really important when you're first starting out with autocross or even track days, because the reality of the situation is unless you're like a phenom, most people aren't going to be able to drive the car to the limits. That's something that comes with experience. Now that we got those pre-event things out of the way, let's talk about the actual event. And the first piece of advice I'd give is to get there early. Getting there early will make it easy so you're not in a rush trying to figure out the track, going through tech inspection and all that stuff, so you can do it with calm. Also, it may give you a chance to talk to fellow competitors or drivers at an open track day. From my experience personally, 99% of people are willing to help you out and give you advice, and then you could bounce ideas off each other. So I know that the brake fluid is good and the clutch fluid is good. I will say the clutch, I got some clutch fluid down there. I'm gonna actually clean that up because brake fluid is very corrosive to paint. I really appreciate these plastics being here because it makes it look nicer, but God, they kind of cruddy to pull out sometimes. The fluid levels are good. I got the fluid cleaned up to the best of my ability up here. I did take out the spare tire, mainly because I have one battery tender and I just flip-flop them. So one day one car, one day the other car, and it's this car's day. I do that just to keep the battery topped off so they don't get too low and then get messed up. When it comes to driving, there's two big things that come to mind. And the first one has to do with vision. We have this tendency to look where we go. So what most people do is that they'll end up just looking through the exit of the given corner that they're in. And, oops, I'm not very good at multitasking. Yeah, they need some air. But anyways, we have a tendency to look through the corner that we're in, right? And that's not exactly setting us up for the following corners. So I tell people to look ahead as far as you possibly can. So if I'm in, let's just say corner 1, at the minimum, I'm going to be trying to look through corner 2. So that way I can set my line up better. It makes everything smoother. And you know, if you shave a 1/10 of a second here, a 1/10 of a second there, it adds up really quick. And that's really important with autocross because some of these events are literally won by a fraction of a second. So filling up and checking the tires is kind of loud and redundant. It's the same thing over and over. So probably won't show you guys this on the other 7 tires left to do. Or at least I know these tires all need it. I don't know about the other MR2. That's why I'm checking. And this is kind of loud and annoying, but it does the job really well. I like the fact that it even has an inline fuse, which is freaking awesome. In case anyone was curious, I typically just set the PSI to whatever the manual says. And I think off the top of my head, it's like 33, 31. I'll have to double check. Well guys, someone forgot to hit the record button. Guess who that someone was? That was me. Let's get to that last driving tip, and that is be smooth with your inputs. So if you treat the throttle like an on-off switch, odds are you're gonna upset the car, and while it's super fun to kick that back end out and slide around, it's definitely not fast. I think the key is to treat those inputs like a sliding scale. Now, let's get back to the video as scheduled. The analogy that I use when it comes to making my input smooth is using everything like a sliding scale. And a good example of that is the throttle. So instead of it just being an on-off switch, it's a sliding scale. So, you know, depending the situation, maybe I'll do 50%, 80%, you know, and if it's a good straightaway where there's lots of traction, that's when I'll hit 100%. I want to point out too that that's something that's going to take time. You don't develop that instantly. It's all about seat time, which is one of the things I mentioned earlier. Anyways guys, thanks for watching. Also, if you have some experience with autocrossing track days, definitely leave your driving tips in the comments below just to help others out, and I'll see you guys in the next video.